Well, the game of football has taught me so many things, man. Now, think about the huddle we have right now, right? I tell people this all the time. There's a reason why they call it a huddle. You know, people have been huddling all their lives, trying to find ways to enhance each other's lives. The great teams do that all the time. The great teams do that. The better the huddle, the better the team. And so it's simple, man, how if you huddle for all the right reasons, we wouldn't have Ferguson. We wouldn't have some of the challenges that we have in our society. But as we all know, there's always a moment when somebody doesn't belong in the huddle. And yet we have to continue to move on. We got to continue to play. So the game of life, man, is always starting with a huddle. And for me, I'm lucky enough to know that, you know, by the graces of God, man, it's been a nice huddle. It's been a nice huddle. And if I just keep making sure that he's in front of me, I'm gonna be all right.
And don't forget to check out and order your copy of our latest book, Stiff Arming Football Myths. You can find this available in both paperback and PDF form on our website at footballgameplan.com/books. I'm glad Russell Wilson and the Seahawks were able to come to an agreement on a contract extension. He's earned it. Wilson's numbers and productivity speak for themselves. He's an elite quarterback, a top 3 quarterback, if you ask me, and he'll ensure that the Seahawks will be good, at least offensively, for a very long time. Don't listen to anyone who tries to marginalize his accomplishments or impact on this squad because they have no clue what they're talking about. Tavares Jackson also gives them a very solid and capable number 2 option. No worries here in the backfield as well, as Seattle was able to come to terms with Marshawn Lynch, and Lynch is coming off his 4th straight 1,200-plus yard season and 4th straight Pro Bowl appearance, and there is no doubt that he'll make it 5 straight in both categories this season. Robert Turbin has done a great job in keeping former second-round pick Christian Michael at bay, and both are good runners that give the Seahawks a very talented backfield. The squad was also able to welcome back Derek Coleman at fullback. While they may lack the quote-unquote flash names, the Seahawks receiving corps doesn't lack in the production department. I think they've gotten better in the offseason. Both Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kearse are consistent options in the passing game for Russell Wilson. And where I think they've gotten better is with Paul Richardson returning from injury, along with big wide receiver Chris Matthews' big-time performance in the Super Bowl, which I think wasn't a fluke at all, and rookie 3rd-round pick Tyler Lockett out of Kansas State. That's enough to keep the passing game on schedule, along with Ricardo Lockett and undrafted free agent Casey Williams, if he can stay healthy, will be someone that they'll keep around for sure. The Hawks also got better at tight end, trading for Jimmy Graham with the New Orleans Saints, and Graham has scored 51 touchdowns in his career and will give the Seahawks an excellent 1-2 tight end combination with Luke Wilson. Graham's ability to be moved around the formation creates all sorts of problems for defense. I also like Rashawn Allen as a 3rd tight end option. This is where you have the biggest question mark about the Seahawks offense. There are some talent here with Russell Okung, Alvin Bailey, and J.R. Sweezy, but finding the right combination everywhere else is going to be key. Last year's 2nd-round pick Justin Britt struggled at tackle and may kick down inside at guard, and they're breaking in a new center, and whether or not that's Patrick Lewis or Drew Nowak is going to be the question. Right tackle is also a question mark, and they've invested heavy in this group in the draft with 3 selections, and out of the 3, I like Mark Glowinski from West Virginia. He's the best out of the 3 in my opinion because he's versatile enough to play 3 different spots.
I love football. I cannot get enough of football. I watch it on every level.
The emotional release. You know, whether it's an exciting play that gets you all jacked up and juiced, or whether it's the fact that you're able to pour everything you have. Whatever frustration you had that week, you can put into that first kickoff coverage, that first block that you have, whatever it might be.
And I couldn't think of anything better to do to fill that void that you have as a football player than to get into coaching.
You get a chance to release a lot of emotion that you otherwise have no place to release. There's nothing else like that.
Again, the relationships you build and the people you're around and watching the guys compete, not just on the football field, but in life after they get done playing. It's just an amazing game.
There's some really good depth here for Seattle. They boast 3 studs up front defensively, and defensive ends Michael Bennett and Cliff Averill, and defensive tackle Brandon Mebane. DeMarcus Dobbs and Atiba Rubin gives them a healthy rotation on the interior. And I wasn't high on second-round pick Frank Clark out of Michigan, but he's played extremely well in the preseason and will be a valuable player in rotation along with Cassius Marsh, who's returning from injury. I'm also a big fan of 2 undrafted free agents in Ty McGill out of North Carolina State and Julius Wormsley out of Tulane. They'll compete with DeAnthony Smith for that final defensive tackle spot. Athletic and versatile is the best way to describe the Seahawks linebacking core. The trio of Bobby Wagner, Bruce Irvin, and KJ Wright are as good as any in the NFL. They have good depth behind them with Brock Coyle and Kevin Pierre-Louis. 6th-round pick Obum Gwacham has some intrigue as an edge guy in certain situations, and I was a big fan of undrafted free agent Quashawn Neely's game at Georgia Tech, and I think it'll be interesting to see if he sticks. Obviously, all eyes will be on Cam Chancellor and whether or not he will actually sit out an entire season with a contract dispute. But Deion Bailey out of USC has filled in nicely in his absence, and when Chancellor does return, they'll have depth at strong safety. Everywhere else, they are still the Legion of Boom with cornerback Richard Sherman and free safety Earl Thomas. They brought in Kerry Williams to man the other cornerback spot, as well as Will Blackman. Now, Blackman will compete at nickel with rookie 5th-round pick Ty Smith out of Towson, and I'm a big fan of Smith's game, and I think he'll get the nod ahead of Blackman. Last year's nickel Jeremy Lane will return at some point in the season from the nasty Super Bowl injury he suffered in that ball game and reclaim that nickel spot. Despite struggling in the Super Bowl, Darrell Simon, I believe, still has a chance to be successful, and I think he'll rebound this season, and Marcus Burley is also in the mix. No problems in the special teams department. Kicker Stephen Hauschka and punter John Ryan are entrenched in their roles and do a great job. And the drafting of Tyler Lockett out of Kansas State instantly upgrades the return game, and he's already paid dividends in that department in the preseason by bringing one back to the house. I have the Seahawks finishing first in the NFC West. Quietly, Seattle has lost key coaches each and every year, and that's a price of success. Yet they haven't lost on the football field. And while the NFC West will be tough once again this season, the Seahawks are more than ready to seize that #1 spot once again. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Seahawk fan forums for always showing football game plan support.